The old movie theater in our small town was known to be haunted. There were so many rumors from years prior of spirit or poltergeists that enjoyed scaring employees and customers. No one knows where the spirit came from, because there was no known deaths in the theater. One can only speculate that it's the spirit of someone who enjoyed frequenting the theater when they were alive. I took a job at the theater when I was 16 because my parents bought me my first car, but I had to pay for insurance and gas, which I figured was a sweet deal, so I got a job the day they presented me with the car. The theater was nothing spectacular. Our town was really small, so it had 4 screen rooms, which would show the most popular films at the time. We had only 1 ticket line and 1 concession stand, but it was a really popular spot because there wasn't much else to do. When I interviewed, the manager asked if I thought I could handle a theater ghost. I chuckled and said, "I think I've got it." He said, "I hope so. See you Monday, kid." My first shift alone was a Sunday. They didn't want to start me alone on a Friday or Saturday for obvious reasons. Sundays were busy enough, but not overcrowded. I got there early because on Sunday afternoons there was a special where if you bought a matinee ticket, you got a small popcorn and soda for $5 additional. So it was wise to get a head start on popping batches of popcorn and bagging them. The first night is one I'll never forget. It's been 10 years, and I can still remember every detail of that day. In fact, I know I was wearing dark jeans, a black t-shirt, and our maroon work vest with the name of the theater on the right side and my new name tag on the left. The theater didn't open until 1 p.m. on Sundays, and as I was going around turning on all the lights, I felt that someone was following me around to each room. You know that general feeling of being watched? I had that since the time I walked in. During the first showing of the day, a woman came out and said, "I don't know what happened, but the screen suddenly went gray and stayed gray." "I'll go fix it now. Sorry, ma'am," I said, walking toward the film room to see what was going on. Great, this would happen on my first day, I thought to myself. Thankfully, in training, we covered what to do if this happens. When I entered the film room, it felt immediately off. There was a heavy feeling that I couldn't shake. As I was fixing the issue, the door slammed behind me. Thankfully, it's a soundproof room because I let out a very feminine scream. Cursing old buildings, I peered out the window that looked down on the theater to make sure the film resumed. Back in the concession stand, I began preparing for the next showing by making up a few more popcorn bags to sit in the machine to keep warm for the next batch of moviegoers. It wasn't long before a large group of teenagers came bounding in, demanding tickets and all the concessions. Once they were in the theater and the movie had started, I quickly ran to the restroom, and as I was washing my hands, I heard crying coming from one of the stalls. But a quick glance in the mirror showed that all the stall doors were open. "Hello?" I called out. "Are you okay? Can I get you anything?" No one answered. Figuring no one was half undressed if the stall doors were open, I went to check each stall and figure out if I could help the person. Maybe at least get them out of the cramped men's bathroom stall and out to the lobby with a glass of water or something. But all the stalls were empty. I had already been gone from the concession stand and ticket booth a few too many minutes long, so I made my way back, baffled. The rest of the evening was uneventful, at least as far as unexpected occurrences. There was a large group of loud, obnoxious teenagers that came in for the last showing. I was 99% sure at least a few of them were drinking prior to arriving, but I couldn't prove it, and they weren't being rude, so I didn't make them leave. Once the final showing was over and everyone was gone, I locked the doors and began closing down the till. I heard a whistle coming from the hallway with the 2 renovated theaters, so I rushed back, thinking someone may have somehow stayed back even though I did a thorough check before locking the doors. "Hey, who's back there? It's closing time. Please head out," I called out. But no one answered, and I couldn't see anyone anywhere. Maybe I'm hearing things, I thought, and headed back up front to clean up the concession stand. I noticed when I got up there, the door to the popcorn machine was open, and I knew I had shut it the last time I went in there, because I was in there last to grab myself a small bag after everyone was settled in for the final showings. Man, this place really is odd, I said out loud. Right as I finished my sentence, I swear I heard a laugh. Do ghosts laugh? I thought to myself. The last thing on the nightly checklist was mopping the floors. On my way to the supply closet, I heard a crash. At first I thought it came from the bathroom, but as I got closer to the closet, I saw a fluid leaking out from under the door. I sped up and flung it open. The middle shelf of the shelving unit had collapsed and the giant jug of disinfectant was leaking everywhere. What a first night, I said out loud as I grabbed the jug and moved it to the sink in an empty bucket. I rearranged things, emptying the broken shelf. Eager to leave, I hurried through mopping the floors, and to top it off, as I was locking up, I peered inside to make sure I turned off all the correct lights, and a shadowy figure walked just feet in front of the door. I jumped back instinctively, checked to make sure the door had locked correctly, and ran to my car. I was done for the night. I continued working there for over a year, and nearly every shift I worked there was some sort of spirit activity. I had things thrown off the concession counter, more crying and whispering, and many other things happen. I will never laugh when someone warns me that something is haunted again. That sounds like a hostile work environment. They should give employees hazard pay for dealing with a clearly angry spirit. Thank you for sharing your experiences with us. If you have a true paranormal story to share for an upcoming video, email it to the address in the description below. Please like the video if you haven't, and hit the subscribe button. And with that, I'll see you tomorrow, friends.